Welcome back to the Kingsway Podcast.
Welcome.
It's good to see you, Ryan.
Good to see you too.
I'm not a hunter, but I'm wearing a hunting hat.
You are dressed like somebody from a big city is dressing up like a hunter for Halloween.
Absolutely. I feel like an imposter.
Yeah.
What I want to feel like is Alan Richardson.
Yeah.
That's what I want to feel like. That's what I want to feel like.
A short king.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No.
Absolutely. If I was 6'6" and I weighed 240, I'd be pretty happy about that. But I wanted just 6 foot, and that didn't happen.
Dude, I got up to 240 and I'm only 5'11".
Well, the only reason I own this hat is because they sold them for $1 after a hunting season like 3 years ago, and I bought myself and all my kids one.
Yeah.
And subsequently, they have like lost all of theirs, and I'm the only one that has mine. And but anyway,
it could mean that you're about to lose yours too.
And it also proves to you that I'm from Arizona because what is it, like 65 degrees? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cold. I need a beanie.
It went from air conditioning to heater barely.
Barely.
And you're like on life support over here.
I'm like, it's kind of cold in here.
Does anybody notice the life force being drained out of their body?
I'm like, why do I feel like Superman with kryptonite? Anyway, I say all that because if you're not watching on YouTube, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm wearing an orange hunting beanie, so just for those listening.
And if you're not on YouTube, you wouldn't know that I have an entire clown costume on, full makeup.
They're going to be going to YouTube quick. Kind of a special episode and a special timing. I think Ryan was the one that brought it up this morning, and I think it's a great idea, but wanted to talk about kind of the role that maybe mentors play in maybe your life, but also specifically in ours, and maybe more accurately, just people that have shaped you. I've had the privilege of having quite a few people, I feel like, in my life that have had an effect and have had like, quote unquote, like shaped or molded me, had moments where people saw things in me and drew it out of me more than I knew I had or the potential I had. And I've always been appreciative of that. The names and the people we're going to talk about today, I think it's important for just if you're listening or like we're going to talk about some people that you may not know and probably will never meet. But I think the hope is that as we talk about this, you'll get to know a little bit more of like how we were shaped and how we got here. To the current place. But also I hope that you'll realize like you can reflect on, who shaped you. One of my favorite speeches ever given was by Mr. Rogers after he won a Lifetime Achievement Award. And he had 60 seconds of a speech and he thanked his mom and then said who in your life has been the greatest influence. And then he said, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to think about them. And then looked at his watch and then let the whole audience, Hollywood superstars. And it was so powerful. Just the way he did it and the way that he embraced kind of the silence and the opportunity to speak and say some things actually was overshadowed by the opportunity to give the audience a chance to reflect.
Yeah.
And it was both a powerful display of his incredible way of educating and getting people to think about things. It almost was like a display of his lifetime achievement. It's like he could still turn a room into children pretty quickly. And I think about even that. I grew up singing his songs and watching his show and really having like this genuine like appreciation for the gentleness of who he was and his, lovable, predictable goofiness that was really fun. That's a person on TV, on PBS, by the way. And I think I had the privilege just because I grew up with no cable TV. And so, I grew up with the PBS like being the formative place where I watched a lot of stuff. Yeah. Ryan, when you think about who was the person that you feel like was the first person that really maybe started to impact the way you thought about yourself or challenged you in a way that made you go, I really, really, really want to maybe not impress this person, but live up to their expectations of what they believe I can do, or strive to just be like them.
Yeah.
Is there like a person that comes to mind, like the first one?
Yeah. So, of course, like parents...
Get those out of the way.
Yeah, just brush them aside. No, if you have good parents, they can help change the course of your life. But there's something about the power of a trusted adult who isn't a parent.
I agree.
That's power that can be wielded for evil, and we all are. I'm
very aware of those
stories of those. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people have like a coach, a mentor, or whatever, saw something in me, a band director, a whatever, a counselor. I think I've looked back on my life, every person who's been that for me has been named Matt.
Really?
Yeah. So the biggest and first and most influential would be Matt Limbrick, my childhood youth pastor who just passed away 2 days ago on Sunday.
Part of the inspiration for this episode.
That is why I brought this episode up. He is the first and the biggest inspiration. I also want to throw out that Matt Stafford is Ozark Christian College, and kind of by proxy, the guy I interned for, who is intern for Matt or study under Matt or whatever, Josh Huckabee.
Yeah.
Their like style of leading worship ministry and their own faith and practice and spirituality really influenced me. Those three people would be like my people, but Matt was the first and the biggest and the one that led to all the others and the one who changed the most things. Because I didn't like sports growing up. We grew up in St. Louis, and the most emotional sports reaction I've ever had was last night with the Mariners losing.
That was super sad. ALS.
Yeah, it hurt. But honestly, it's because my friend Logan lives in Seattle, and he's been a like lifelong Mariners fan. And I don't think they've ever been to the World Series.
They haven't.
So I was just like so invested in that. But I grew up in St. Louis, and I cared more about that game than
anything.
The Cardinals forever. Yep. And I don't want anybody to hear that I'm against the Cardinals.
Oh, that's what he just said.
It's that I care so little about baseball as a whole.
Yep.
Anyway, so just like played Little League growing up, and just it was like the most safe sport, although the ball can go anywhere and hurt you from anywhere, but that's every sport.
Yep.
But like nobody's tackling you, nobody's elbowing you in the nose, nobody's whatever.
Boxing you out.
Yeah. It's not hockey. So, but like all the sports, I just didn't like them because they were kind of violent, and I just didn't want to be hurt. And so to this day, 30 years old, never broken a bone.
It's wild.
Yeah. It's because I played music and not sports. But by like 10, 11, 12, you don't play a sport.
Yeah.
Who are you? You're just
late.
taking up space,
I know.
whatever. There's this feeling that like, unless you're literally the smartest kid in the room or you play any sport, like what is there left? And so I grew up going to church every week, and that was great. There's a lot of old people who go to my church.
Yep.
And they're like my grandparents' age. Generations, not a generation, but generations removed from me. And so no matter how kind and caring they are, it's just hard to find that same level of belonging. There were some kids in my church, but not tons and tons and tons. Yeah. And I went to school with some of them, and that was good. But there's this moment about end of elementary, beginning of middle school, where I started, I got to go to youth group. And so now there's like this second church, and it's all people my age or about my age. And we just had one band forever, same band for youth and same band for Sunday mornings. We just didn't have enough people. And also younger, like middle school, high school kids, and maybe early college are like the only people who want to show up and play music once or twice a week and whatever. And so they had their one drummer, but I was like starting to just like be interested in that, and had just joined percussion in school and whatever. But I'd like started to feel like I belonged more. And part of that was my youth pastor, Matt, although he had like 30 or 40 kids 20 or 30 kids. That's probably more accurate. It's just smaller rooms, so it felt really tight. To like wrangle.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something so personable in that, like, faith meant something real to him. That like his faith actually changed his decisions if he wanted to make a different decision, but he's a Christian, so he wouldn't or whatever. You just watched it be a real thing in his life. And then the older I got in that youth group, the closer I got to him. But about 7th, 8th grade, our drummer graduated.
Yeah.
And then he went to Missouri State. He's the freaking coolest. His name's Jared. He went to Missouri State for film production stuff. And you're like, oh, I didn't even know they had that.
Yeah.
Now he's been on like movie sets and worked with Neil Patrick Harris and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, you were as cool as I thought you were.
That's cool.
But he graduated. They had no drummer. And I don't know that Matt saw something in me more than he needed something so bad.
Yeah.
But it started this like asking me, or maybe I inserted myself, I don't remember, asking me to come on the worship team. And I was a terrible drummer. I was not good at all. I was so bad and so unenthusiastic that I think 6 to 9 weeks into the worship team, he had a sit-down conversation with me and my parents and was like, I'm kicking you off the worship team because you don't practice. You show up and ask what we're playing, and you show up and like don't know how to do any of the stuff in any of the songs.
Yep.
And I came back in like a month or two, but I had practiced by then and like was like changed my attitude, whatever. But because of that, I saw Matt during church. I saw Matt during youth group.
Yeah.
I saw Matt before church and before youth group for run-throughs. I saw Matt after church to rehearse for the next week. And so on top of like growing as a musician, it was also a like mandatory built-in friendship mentorship thing that I'm just like an apprentice hanging around Matt all the time.
Yeah. True discipleship.
Yeah. And that has impacted the course of my life more than anything else. I was a Christian. Matt baptized me, but I think it was before I entered the youth group, or I was there for like a month or something. I don't know. I was 11. I don't know what grade that makes you, but kind of in that range.
5th or 6th.
Yeah. He baptized me. I got better at music, but the thing that like drives my work here at the church, the thing that drives a few of my other little jobs, like I teach drums and guitar at Ozark Christian College on Fridays, is that he helped me get better at music and he gave me the time of day. And so like giving that gift to other people is the thing that I value so much because he gave that to me. It wasn't just music, but it was like relational discipleship, whatever. And music was also there. Yeah. So I'd say Matt. That's my answer.
Yeah.
First Matt. Matt won.
Matt number 1.
Yeah.
Thing 1. Thing 2.
Yeah. My first Matt.
Well, I think even when, Matt obviously had a very long journey and a hard end with many different battles of cancer.
If you haven't followed on Facebook or if you haven't heard this past Sunday, he had cancer 3 times, twice while I was in youth group, and then once this year and some of last year.
Yeah.
And he made it through twice, but this last time he lost his battle with cancer.
And again, watching someone, go through that multiple times and watching his faith stay strong and watching who he was for the most part become actually more influential, even from a distance than someone that never met him. You got his fingerprints all over you, which is awesome. It's powerful what mentorship can be. It almost is like Andy from the Office. It's like you don't know you're in the good old days until you've left them. And I feel like with mentors, I've had several in my life that I just did not realize how valuable and how amazing and transformational they are. It's almost like it's working on you and you don't even realize it.
Who was your first mentor? Even like some people go through mentorship and it's like official. It's like we meet every week. This is my mentor or whatever. But like, even if it was unofficial, even if it was just somebody who'd like,
I I would say there's different forms for me.
Yeah.
Because I was the exact opposite of you, where I was the kid that was picked by coaches and was loved by coaches and I had a lot of influential coaches that challenged me, basically said like, I think I've told the story. It's like one of my most painful stories, but I got cut from the 6th grade AAU team for basketball. And I was the last one cut, and I had to walk out in front of all my friends that made the team. And I just did the same thing you did. I worked my butt off. But the next year I was a starter. I also like grew 3 inches and like, you know what I mean? Like, but it was like, I just remember being like,
and 240 pounds.
But the coach, her name was, Julie Collins. She looked at me and said, you can't make a left-hand layup. You can't use your left hand. And you don't know how to play team basketball. You need to watch basketball, learn how to dribble with your left hand and make left-hand layups. And I remember the next year for tryouts, like she was like, you've been working hard. And I was like it was almost like my little like vendetta. I was like, you will rue the day.
You will compliment me on my left-handed layups.
But as far as the spiritual side of things, I think there was a level of like when I wasn't necessarily, probably was more than I want to admit. I was probably a little arrogant and a little cocky coming out of high school. It was not quite like football in Texas where you're like, you're the quarterback. You're basically like a D1 athlete in high school. Yeah. But it was pretty close in basketball because we had so many students that wanted to play. And so to be a starter on the basketball team at, a high school that was like 5,000 people and to be one of the only white guys that made the team, I just had a certain like kind of chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And so then when I got out of college or out of high school and I had to go to college, I just got knocked down by the world for a little while. I failed community college. I kind of lost my identity is really what happened. And I had a really good friend named Nigel Kelly that we had a college age group, and he was just a couple years ahead of me. He had some different theological views that challenged me because he would ask questions and then I would he would disagree with me and I would be like, but I'm the pastor's kid. Like I know this, you know what I mean? Like I know this stuff.
My dad can beat up you.
But one of the things that sticks out to me was a conversation after he found out that I had broken a girl's heart and really treated her poorly after a breakup and not really done anything other than just been really cold and kind of just like, whatever. And
been a jerk more than like
a Chad, and the worst of ways. And he confronted me and it stuck with me for the rest of my life. He complimented me and he said, you have incredible charisma and talent. And you will probably have a lot of influence with a lot of people, but you are an axe and you can do a lot of good with an axe, but you can do a lot of harm and you need to learn how to use your talents to help, not to hurt people. And I remember like it was one of the first times I'd ever been like truly confronted by a friend that I knew cared about me, but also I felt like accurately understood my dilemma sometimes where I'm like, I see that I can use this for my own leverage and my own good, and it's kind of fun, but also it's destructive. And so anyway, that's probably the first mentor that really, and I actually, he's similar to Jared, like he's got a doctorate. He went to Dallas Theological Seminary. He's like, he's written books, and like he is a very, very smart, accomplished dude. One of my favorite FaceTimes with him, I FaceTimed when he was in Dallas Theological Seminary. He had 3 roommates, and while I was on FaceTime with him, a mouse came out from underneath one of the sofas, and they were like fighting this mouse, trying to catch it, and they forgot that I was on video. So I was just like hearing it, like get it, and I was just like, Nigel, I'll call you back. He's like, okay, so anyway. It was a good one. That was probably my first one. I let me ask you this. I maybe and Matt is the same for you. Have you had a one that you feel like, is there a person that was the most influential? And if it was Matt, again, what was the thing that sticks out the most that maybe he taught you or said to you? Or what was the moment that maybe you ring back to that you feel like was like, oh, I'm being mentored? Like,
there are a handful of significant moments. I don't know that any one of them sticks out. Yeah. And not all of them are equally like, some of them I sort of disagree with now, which is funny, even though I respect where he came from and actually a lot of what influenced him. makes what he said very reasonable. But okay, so moment number one, fired me from the team.
Yep.
I blocked that out of my memory. He came to my ordination and he was like, "Hey, you remember that one time?" And I was like,
Nope.
"No, what are you talking about?" He had to jog my memory. He was like, "Yeah, I had to fire you." Is whatever. And I'm the worship pastor at this church. I'm like, keep your voice down. There's people around.
That's really funny.
But then there's another time in high school that I had dated two girls, one in 8th grade and one like sophomore year, and was just very timid around the dating scene or whatever. But I think I was a senior, and I didn't have a high view of myself, especially in relation to the rest of the youth group.
Yeah.
So like some people would say I'm still serving youth groups and I have almost my entire time since I've been out.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's pretty common that people will be like, "Oh, you're a leader in the youth group." And you're like, "Nobody hired me.
Yep.
What are you talking about?"
Yep.
But like, I didn't understand my role in that way. Yeah, I fixed it. I didn't understand my role or that existed at all. I didn't understand that people looked up to me. And so there's a really stressful time in that senior year with just like a lot crammed into it and so many lasts, like this your last marching band, your last band concert, your last whatever, which is like my whole everything I did in high school to have an identity. And then I dated this girl in the middle of it who was very new to our youth group.
Yeah.
She had showed up and I think within 2 weeks asked her out. And then we talked, but like barely did anything other than see her at youth group. We went to different schools.
Yeah.
And after about 5 or 6 weeks, I was like, I don't know if this is working out. And like, I remember him being like, "You can't do that. You're a leader in the youth group. You would like be mad at other kids for doing that. For like dating kids who just showed up and don't have a strong faith background and like playing with their emotions and playing with their sense of belonging in that way." I didn't feel like I was doing that. It was all focused on me. Like, I want to. Okay, now I don't want to.
Yep.
But like being like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I would have like called out other people on that. I would have not whatever." And so the thing that challenged in me was that how invisible I thought I was, unless it was the moment that I'm doing the thing that people expect me to do and get something from. Yeah. I just kind of assumed I'm an invisible person, and that wasn't true. No. It was like all the junior hires there, and some of the freshman, sophomore, they would look up to me. What's Ryan doing? How does Ryan treat people? Yeah. How does Ryan not just play the drums during worship? How does he act when he's playing the drums during worship? Yeah. How does he act when he goes up there and comes back down? What's his first question? Is it like, how'd I do? That's gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like that was a big self-critical moment for me where it was like, I'm not invisible. The person I am is visible to people, not just the product I am.
Well, and being the drummer, you definitely had like some public, public eyes on you more.
And then there's one other moment. This is the one I actually disagree with now. But I was leaving for college. I'd gone through graduated, gone through the summer, and then I was going to leave. And the last thing Matt said to me was, "Don't be a sellout." First of all, Matt grew up and loved all things punk rock and whatever. I've been listening to his favorite band, MXPX, a lot recently in the last couple days.
Magnetic, yeah. Sorry.
Yep. Forgot about that song, but he showed it to me on his Windows Vista running computer on YouTube or something. He's like, "Dude, this song's sick." And I was like, anyway, all things punk rock. And our church was like 110, 120 people with a 30-person youth group.
Wow.
And it was all it was pretty much all him. It was that these kids from different school districts, and some are band kids and some are sporty and some are legit drug dealers and some are whatever, all come together and find belonging in this place because they shouldn't belong based on their own personalities or character traits or the thing they want to be. Anyway, but he was like, don't be a sellout. You're a good enough drummer. He wasn't saying you're the best drummer in the world, but he's like, you're a good enough drummer that you could go play at a big church and you could be one of their 4 to 6 drummers, and the little church is going to have nobody. But there's also this implication, and maybe I'm just reading into it, that like big church was bad. Big church is inauthentic. Big church is a business. Big church is like too corporate. Big church is whatever.
Yeah.
And so I took that advice to heart, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be a sellout. And then I signed up for, like, I tried to get on the school worship team and didn't make it.
Yep.
And then I tried to make it on the next year and didn't make it. But when I didn't make it the first year, Matt Stafford, who did the audition, was like, hey, do you want me to put your name on a list in case churches call asking for drummers? I was like, sure. And so the first church that called and asked was about 60 people in Ozark. We met in the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame for a little bit, and then finally got our own building that was a dentist's office. Anyway, went to that church. That was like the least healthy church I've ever been a part of. Where it was like they have merit because they're small.
Yep.
No, there were some great people there, and I deeply loved it. The community and the things they did to be a community, the meals, so like eating with people after church and talking with them before, and like playing with kids and whatever. Like, it was all great. But there was some stuff in like the leadership of that church and whatever that was just not good, or at least I highly disagreed with in like focus and what's important and whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then the next church I went to was for my internship, and it was College Heights with Josh Huckabee.
Yeah.
My favorite worship pastor of all time. And I say that not saying he's my favorite singer of all time. Because sometimes people
His
think
wife
that,
can sing too, though.
yes,
man.
she
Holy
can. She's so great.
They're both very talented.
But like, I say this because the first church I worked at, I got stopped in Walmart in the first 3 weeks, and they're like, hey, aren't you the lead singer of First Name, Last Name Christian Church? And I was like, I wanted to say no, I'm the worship pastor, but I thought it's going to take too much time to explain that. So I just said yes and moved on. Anyway, so I'm not saying that about Josh Huckabee to say he's the greatest male vocalist I've ever heard. But the way he would like exhort in worship, the way he would like talk and sell things and like convince you that like this is a good thing, the ways he would talk through worship, the ways he would organize the songs and then prayers and scripture readings and all this other stuff. And the prayers aren't just prayers. Sometimes they're like call and response, like scripture reading kind of prayers. Sometimes they're prayer prompts. I stole this from him one time. It was like head, shoulders, knees, and toes, Simon Says kind of prayer. I've done that here a couple times because I was like, that was so formative and good in your relationship with God. Not just, we sang Oceans so hard that everybody got saved, but like we prayed so well that people could see God better. Anyway, that church at that time was like 1,800, 2,000 something.
Big.
That was the healthiest church I've ever been a part of until I've come here. Yeah, we're way better than them.
I was going to say, I don't know if that's true.
I love, this comes from Matt. Matt Limbrick, super punk rock.
Yeah.
We would go to like our whole youth group. He'd take us to the Illinois Christian Teen Convention, which is just like a weekendy sort of CIY thing. It's like a youth conference, but it's really short. It's like 2 or 3 days. And in the spirit of his personality, we would sit in the back and he would lead us through making fun of things that were happening. Sometimes it'd be like, this is good, beneficial, and whatever. Other times he'd be like, you see that guy's haircut? Whatever. like we just like, it was so dumb. But he was like, the making fun of people was probably not the best thing we could have been doing, but he really shepherded us through like, what are they saying that's good? What are they saying that I have to correct later?
Yep.
What are they saying that what's just funny that we can, and because we're all from different backgrounds, like in this youth group, what can I make the common enemy that we can all get behind, even if it's not really an enemy, it's just like the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
But like, whatever. Anyway, I kind of inherited that from him, and those moments.
And you do that a lot.
I
Like the shepherding through like challenging things and thinking through things that sometimes you need to protect, maybe a theology or view of God or something. Yeah. I see that.
Yeah. I've had to unlearn a little bit of the making fun of stuff. I do it a little too much. On my last week at the church I worked at before, I'd put in my two. It's tough because like you're like a gatekeeper for a position of a church. There's volunteers, but like you can't just put in your 2 weeks notice.
Yep.
I mean, you can, but like imagine you putting in a 2 weeks notice at Kingsway Christian Church.
Good luck,
just
man.
Figure out sermons and church leadership in the next 2 weeks.
I don't even think I can get out of my house in 2 weeks,
No.
dude.
But like, so I put in my 2 months notice, and in the spirit of Matt Limbrick, we were just like joking around in the green room and joking around between services and in between stuff. And I said, "What are they going to do? Fire me?" Like 20 times, including like, I'm pretty sure we did this. Let's finish the last song on the last service, and as the pastor walks up to talk again, just kind of swell back in and be kind of awkward. And I went, "What are they going to do? Fire me?" And the worst people was like, "Yeah, you're right. Let's do it." Hope I don't get anybody in trouble. But like harmless stuff, but like, very mild.
Well, it just sounds like a real friendship because it starts out with like you're more like, pastor and like kid in the youth group. But then as you've grown and you've gotten older, like it's obviously come closer to peer as much as you still look up to him. Because that's been like my experience as I've gotten older is like when I was super young, I felt like the role models or the people that I was looking up to that were kind of doing some sort of mentorship, they were like in my immediate like kind of surrounding, kind of bumped into them. It wasn't really something but like the first time that I really like as a 19-year-old had this guy named Jared Guerin, who's one of the first guys that ever hired me as a pastor, came and hired me as an intern. And he took me out to lunch. I thought my dad had made him do it because I was failing so many classes at this community college. And so I was taking the semester off. I came to my parents and said, "Look, I don't want to waste money. I don't know what I want to do, but I think I don't know what I want to do, but I don't think school is my thing." And he took me out to lunch, and then he was like, "Well, I remember your parents said you're dropping out of school," and I was like waiting for the shoe to drop. Like I was like, "Here comes the like soapbox. Like you need to grow up and da da da." And he said, "I need an intern, and I think you'd be really good at it." And I was like, in my mind, I remember just being like, it was like all like shifting. Like I was like, wait, like maybe this is the opportunity. And it was a really cool opportunity that he gave me, and it's where I ended up meeting Katrina. I mean, it was a very, very, very cool thing. But that was kind of like the first time where I felt like it was a little bit more of like someone had sought me out rather than it just were around me rubbing shoulders and just helping me along the way. And then when I got to Kingsway, Ron McNaughton, who still attends here, he and I had an incredible kind of relationship for almost, I'd say close to a decade. It was like 7 or 8 years. When I first started preaching. And that was actually part of the conditions to start preaching at Kingsway was that I had to find somebody that I could meet with every week that I could just glean wisdom off and get like honest encouragement and critique on a personal and professional level and I needed to have just accountability of like, hey, you need to be doing this or doing that, or you need to work on this. And it was probably the most fruitful season of growth for me. Yeah. Now, we did have 3 kids in 5 years, and the youth group went from like 30 to like near 100. And so there was a lot going on. Yeah. But it was just an awesome relationship, and he and I still text to this day. COVID kind of took the air out of the sails for some of that. But it's amazing what those mentors can do. Here's what I'll say. Anybody that's listening to this, and I know it's been a little bit more personal, and I think it's more for you to just understand kind of how and things can operate behind the scenes. One of my favorite things to do is to mentor. I love spending time with especially guys that I feel like are just a couple, maybe years or a stage of life behind where I've just come through. Because oftentimes I'll tell them, I'm going to tell you all the mistakes I made first.
Yeah.
And then once we get through that very long list, we'll talk about some of the successes I felt like I might have had, or at least some things that I felt like I didn't do completely wrong. And it's encouraging. It's hopeful. I think it is such a like bonding thing to watch and to kind of relive some of the things you've gone through and how your faith's still here and things that you've discovered about yourself, about marriage or parenting or pastoring or just being a friend or personal, work. It is pretty powerful to be a mentor. I think it's a level of accountability. It's a level of like influence that if you've never done it before, and I know it's kind of awkward to like walk up to somebody and be like, I want to mentor you, but
you should be like me.
Yeah. But I think starting with like, hey, I'd like to take you out for a cup of coffee and just talk.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to, like you said, be a formal thing for it to be. Bruce Romer, who I text and talk to, quite a bit. At church. He's another guy. He and I have had some just amazing conversations. And I think the funny thing, most of the time I feel like he thinks that he's like bothering me or something. And I always want to be like, Bruce, I'm like, I feel like your story's like Forrest Gump. I like the things you've been through. And so I love the conversations that I have with him, and I'm constantly curious. And
Bruce, if you're listening, we love you. And also, that was the best cheesecake I've ever had. I don't like cheesecake that much. And Bruce made this like thick graham cracker crust cheesecake with like blackberries or mixed berries or something.
When did you have that?
Sharon mentioned it to him, like, something about that cheesecake. They just made us a whole one.
Oh my gosh.
This is night 5.
Oh, you have it just right now?
Of eating it. Yeah. I have to throw it away because we couldn't eat it fast enough before we were afraid to eat it.
He made it for us a couple weeks ago, and it didn't make it 4 days. I mean, Katrina ate the last piece without telling me.
Y'all got 5 people in your house. We got 2 and a dog. And
I did give some to my parents because I was trying to give it a little bit.
Gave some to Isaac and Landry.
Yep, but dude, that crust is anyway. Bruce,
thank you, Bruce.
You're the man. But no,
mentor me in how to make that cheesecake.
All I'll say is we kind of wrap this up because Ryan, you got a crazy week, man.
I do.
I love that you use your talents and abilities to go and teach. Not just here at Kingsway, but at Ozark, but also you're doing a conference this weekend, a men's thing, and obviously I think
I need to use my talents a little less.
Maybe margin. My mom actually texted me the other day and said, do you remember what your word is for this year? And I said, I do. And she said, I just found it kind of curious. And I was like, because the word I said at the very beginning of the year is uncomfortable. Yeah. That's what this whole year is just, God was just going, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, I feel that currently. So, if you're out there and you're looking for a mentor, I think that's always a great thing, especially if you're like in the youth group right now and you're looking to glean or grow, like finding somebody that looks like Jesus, that you trust, that you like the way that their life looks. Man, there is no risk. There's no downside. The worst thing they could say is no. Yeah. That's it. The worst thing they could say is no. And the opportunity to just say, hey, can I get a cup of coffee? Not saying like, I need to lock you down in a contract for 10 years. And but just saying, I'd like to take you out to coffee and ask you some questions about your life. I think that would be one of the wisest things you can do.
And I think if you're thinking about a hole in your life and you want to like find a mentor and do whatever, here are a few helpful tips in selecting one. I'm not really going to give you help in asking somebody. Really, what Trevor just said is all the help you need. Just do it and realize it's not. They're not going to hate you. Hopefully,
no. It shouldn't feel like an insult. It should feel like a what?
It's a huge compliment. So even if they say no, they'll probably be like
encouraged,
complimented, encouraged by it. Mm-hmm. But when you think about like, I need a mentor. Who should I think about asking? Yeah, pick somebody you want to be like. Mm-hmm. But also, don't just pick somebody whose career you want to have.
Yeah.
Pick somebody. Let me quote the book we just talked about in our Kingsway podcast book club episode, which is Your Future Self Will Thank You, Secrets to Self-Control from the Bible and Brain Science. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised I remembered all that.
That was actually really good.
He talked about using self-control to cultivate eulogy values, funeral values, rather than resume values.
Yep.
And so like resume values are like, I have this much education, this much experience, I'm in this position at this job as I'm applying for this other one. Funeral values are like, he was really kind, even when no one expected him to be, or he had every excuse not to.
And that's
they're like character
Bruce.
trait.
Bruce is so humble with all that he's achieved. He's so humble in the way he approaches things. And that's part of it. That's it. That's absolutely right.
So like going through losing Matt this week. Now, I'm doing way better than somebody who just lost one of the most important people in their lives because we've known this plane was landing for a while. And then there's hope. And then we're like, okay, he's on and then there's hope. And then he's on the decline and whatever.
Yep.
I've had time to grieve.
Yeah.
At his funeral this Friday, I probably won't be doing super hot, but I've had time to go through all the memories and think about all the stuff. And there's still more to think about, more memories to look at, but I've had time to like work through it. I don't remember what I was trying to say.
Well, he's a man of faith too. So
yes. So we've been like going through as different people are posting about him, including the MXPX Facebook group.
Oh,
MXPX was like, we lost one of our biggest fans.
We lost a real one. And we lost a real
punk rocker.
That is awesome.
RAWK. Anyway, but as people are sharing all these things, you realize like, oh, he was rich in virtue and value. One of the, I shared this, I don't remember if it was on the podcast or whatever, but one of the people I went to church camp with, who I don't know where they're at in their life. I don't know if they're still a Christian. I just really don't know anything about them, so I shouldn't talk about them. But she's a girl, she's not sporty, more city-ish, less outdoorsy, whatever. But at our camp, it'd be like morning session, quiet time, missions time, whatever, lunch, organized rec, pick a thing, sign up for dodgeball, sign up for volleyball, sign up for rock climbing, and all those were pretty sporty and pretty competitive and whatever. And she didn't want to be a part of any of that. And so she signed up for fishing all the time with Matt, even though he's not her youth pastor or whatever.
Yeah.
And the only comment she had was like, so sorry to hear about this news. I really loved and appreciated Matt. He never minded and always made me feel welcome in the fishing elective, even though I don't know anything about fishing.
Yeah.
And he'd take the fish off the hook and we'd have great conversations. And so like that inspired me, her story, to in my own post and if I tell anybody anything about Matt, it's that he was a safe place for the weird kid.
Yeah.
And that's the like virtue and trait that I think if you see that in somebody and you're like, I love that they're that. I wish I was that. Great. You've just found the person you'd like to mentor you.
Yep.
Or I love how here's a very successful, wealthy, powerful man. I love how kind he is to his wife.
Yep.
Great. You just found your mentor.
Yep.
Like somebody who has the virtues that you don't have to question. I mean, they're not a perfect person. Nobody is, but like, except for Jesus. But somebody who has like a grasp on that thing that you really wish you had a grasp on. In a eulogy virtue sort of way.
And that's the whole idea is like you rub up against somebody until it rubs off, like until it actually gets on you and gets in you, because the truth of the matter is those types of characteristics have to be cultivated, learned, grown intentionally. They don't just show up. Well, this has been an awesome episode, and I hope that maybe you put your comment is just who your mentor is. Maybe share a little story and maybe talk about your experience mentoring or being mentored. Give us a little bit of hints. Always love to know like the stories that are going around. We love to learn. We love to see how this has worked. Maybe even like just a hope for the future of what you're looking to grow in.
I was gonna say even even Ben Rector in the song. Just bring it up right now. I don't. It's in the song Heroes.
Yeah.
He has a whole verse about I miss my Bible study leader giving us all the answers to the questions of the big bad world. I don't know if he still talks to Jesus, but his wife's remarried now, and I think he sells garage doors.
Yep.
Banger verse.
It's a banger
one. Like, why would he write about that guy? Well, that guy meant a lot to him.
Yep.
That guy, whether he knew it or not, whether it was formal or like just hanging around him even in groups, that guy made an impact on this like worldwide sensation's life.
Absolutely. And I think that's still going on, and it's still occurring, even like Andy says, we may not be aware of it and we may not fully see it. I think there's opportunities to both be and to be mentoring. So
yeah. And you have to realize every person you love who's like an influencer, a famous like Christian. So who is Timothy Keller's like Sunday school, Bible study, whatever person?
Yep.
Who was Tim Mackey's Sunday school Bible teacher, whatever. And if you listen to these people long enough, they usually can't hold back from saying it.
Yep. I think that's the level of like, I would hope that as you're listening to this, as you're going through your life, that you're realizing that you don't always have to wait for those things to happen. Sometimes it does just, it seems like it's providential, but other times I feel like it's intentional. Like you just got to go after it. You got to go, I want to learn, I want to grow, and I'm going to put myself in the places and the situations where this type of stuff is going to have the influence.
Yeah.
As always, go ahead, Ryan.
This is my last theological point. You have to realize what John 3:16 means, the motive that it starts talking about is that even though it says God so loved the world, like it's talking about people. Some people may argue with me on that, and there is value to say that God's coming back not just to resurrect and restore people, but to restore all creation. That is true, but people are God's treasure, and He desperately wants to win them back. So as we talk about mentorship, it's never a waste of time.
No.
Even if it doesn't turn out with the result you want, even if they backslide in their faith, even if it comes out that they had this or that, whatever later, moral failure or whatever, people are never a waste of time.
We talk about it all the time, and I know I say this quote, I'll probably say it till I'm blue in the face, but pastoral work, shepherding work, planting seeds, as the gospel would call it, the seeds of the gospel. It is planting seeds you'll probably never sit in the shade of. You'll just never get to see the full reward of what that has produced in the person, through the person, around the person. And that's just trusting that God's at work and that He's bringing the growth and that you are just an instrument, a part of the process in that. So mentorship, discipleship, if you want to make it a more Christian term.
Discipleship is the Christian term.
So,
but discipleship is so formal.
Yeah.
And sometimes that action happens in our world and in our churches in an informal, unplanned way.
Well, we said it before, like, I'm a disciple of Harry Potter. You know what I mean? Like, you can go down the line of like,
That's why I wear robes.
You've been discipled by a lot of things in your life. MXPX.
We love talking about discipleship informally. So for instance, I am the worship and discipleship pastor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in charge of small groups. Mm. But if somebody is like, why aren't more people in small groups? My answer will probably be, they are.
Yep.
But they're not in formal small groups.
Yep.
They're in groups that they are being discipled in. And we can do more, and that's great. But the formality of official church small groups is good, and it helps catch the people who aren't being caught in other ways. But being on the worship team, we treat it really faith formatively.
Yeah.
Do devotionals, everybody prays. Like we talk about, we aren't one kind of person at the Devo and another kind of person at the music part of the rehearsal and another kind of person on Sunday. We aim for character over perfection, and you'll hear that on our live streams a lot. But like that's important to me. That is kind of a small group.
Oh, it is.
Serving in youth, kind of a small group.
There's tons of different
be,
connections. I think actually one of the easiest ways to get connection is to serve.
Yeah.
To do things around other people.
And that's discipleship, even though it's not the formal style of discipleship you see in Scripture with rabbis and students.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed our discussion. And Ryan, I need you to drive safe here in a bit as we load up the van. You got to go down to Arkansas.
Arkansas. You know I'm going to be playing Chris Stapleton on the way there.
Oh, I love it.
Down the fast road.
Well, as always, leave us a comment or hit the like button and share it. Leave us a review on any of those podcast apps. It helps not only us know you like it, but also get the word out and hopefully create more people that love to learn. Mm-hmm. And as always, love you, Will. And
love you, Bruce. Love that cheesecake.
Yes.
Also, you as a person. Love you, even if you never gave me that cheesecake.
Well, we'll see you next time. Have a great and glorious day in the Lord. We'll see you later.
See ya.